Hey everyone, welcome to Beyond the Gates. I'm Alessio, and I'm so excited to have you here. If you love Beyond the Gates, then you're in the right place. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Alright, let's dive right in. The confession and the consequence. You ever have one of those nights where you wake up the next morning and realize nothing about your life will ever be the same again? That's where I found myself, not in some big cinematic way, but in the quiet, gut-wrenching kind. It started with a kiss. A stupid, impulsive, nostalgia-drenched kiss with Bill. Bill. My ex-husband. The one I swore I'd never get tangled up with again. I told Pamela about it because I had to tell someone. She's that friend who somehow makes you laugh in the middle of your worst decisions. The one who has this ridiculous accent she puts on when she's nervous, and a laugh so loud you can feel it echo in your ribs. I love her for it. And that morning, when I told her everything, she didn't judge. She just listened. We were sitting in this half-empty cafe, the smell of burnt espresso hanging in the air, when I blurted out, "Pam, I kissed Bill." Her eyes went wide, but instead of the gasp I expected, she just grinned and said, "You what?" Her voice shot up so loud the barista looked over. So I told her everything. About how Bill showed up that night looking broken, about how Hayley, his new wife, was off somewhere probably planning her next attack, and how I, in a moment of weakness, let the past pull me back in. I told her about Andre, too, my new husband, the one who's supposed to be my fresh start, and how good he's been to me. Too good, maybe. Pamela just kept stirring her latte like she was trying to find the right words in the foam. Then she asked, "If Andre is both good to you and for you, is it fair to use him to make Bill jealous?" I froze. That question sliced through me. I wanted to tell her it wasn't like that I wasn't using Andre, that I genuinely cared for him, but part of me knew she wasn't wrong. Andre had become my safe harbor after the storm that was Bill. And yet, sometimes I wondered if I was just hiding in calm waters instead of facing the wreckage I'd left behind. Then Pamela leaned in and whispered, "And what if Andre wants more someday? Like kids?" That hit harder than she could have known, because that was the one thing I'd never given anyone. I told Andre early on that I didn't want children, and he said he was fine with it. But sometimes, when I caught him watching families in the park or smiling at a baby in a stroller, I saw something flicker in his eyes, something quiet, like longing. Before I could even answer, the cafe door swung open and there he was, Andre. Sweatshirt, headphones around his neck, fresh from the gym, looking every bit like the man I didn't deserve. And behind him, sitting at a table near the window, was Bill. Our eyes met, and my heart did that traitorous thing again. It skipped. I hated that. I hated that he still had that power over me. So, impulsive as ever, I decided to make a point. I slipped my hand through Andre's arm, stood up straighter, and smiled, radiantly, deliberately, before walking past Bill. I wanted him to see how happy I was. Or at least how happy I could pretend to be. Pamela shot me a look that said, "Oh, Dani, what are you doing?" But I ignored it. I walked out with Andre, head held high, pretending the sting in my chest was just from the cold air outside. Inside, Bill turned to Pamela. I found out later he'd gone straight to her table, asking her to talk some sense into me. But Pamela, God bless her, just shrugged and said, "I couldn't even talk her out of her first husband, darling. What makes you think I could stop her now?" That's Pamela. Brutal honesty wrapped in velvet sarcasm. Back home, I try to push the day out of my head. But as Andre and I settled in on the couch, the guilt started to crawl up my throat. He was sitting there, smiling at me, his hand resting gently on my knee, and all I could think was, he deserves someone better. Someone who isn't haunted. So I told him. Not about the kiss, but about my fear. "Andre," I said quietly, "I don't ever want you to regret being with me." He looked at me, confused. "Why would I regret it? Dani, I'm happy. You make me happy." I wanted to believe that. I really did. But he kept talking about how he'd lost his parents when he was young, about how that taught him that every moment with someone you love is precious. His voice cracked when he said it, and it broke something inside me. because he was happy, and I was the one already planning for the moment he wouldn't be. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling that he deserved a chance to walk away before the pain began. So I said it. If you want out, Andre, I'll understand. No regrets. He stared at me like I'd just punched the air out of him. Dani, don't do that. Don't give me a way out when all I want is in. I didn't have a response. Because the truth was, I didn't know how to let someone love me without expecting them to leave. Part 2, Bill's breaking point and Hayley's walls. Meanwhile, Bill was unraveling. I didn't see it firsthand, but Pamela told me later how he'd shown up at her place, eyes bloodshot, words slurred with exhaustion and regret. Hayley had found out something, probably about him seeing me, and when he got home, she was cold as stone. No shouting, no tears. Just that silence that hurts more than any fight ever could. He tried to explain, tried to promise her he hadn't done anything wrong. But Hayley wasn't stupid. She knew something had shifted between us. When she accused him of lying, he begged her to trust him. Told her that nothing happened. That it wasn't about that. But even when he said it, he couldn't meet her eyes. Then came the line that Pamela couldn't stop laughing about later. Not because it was funny, but because it was so Bill. I don't have erectile dysfunction, he blurted out mid-argument, like that was the hill he was ready to die on. Hayley just looked at him, lips pressed together, and said quietly, "If you have to say that, Bill, then maybe it's not me you're trying to convince." When he left the house that morning, she didn't stop him, didn't ask where he was going. He paused at the door, looked back, and said, "If we're going to make this marriage work, you need to accept that Dani will always be a part of my life." And Hayley, sharp as ever, shot back, "If." That one word said everything. Later, Hayley went to Bill's office. She found Tomas, Bill's assistant, and apologized for having tried to use him in her jealous little scheme. "It won't happen again," she promised. "Bill and I are fine now." But the way she said it, Tomas knew she didn't believe her own words. Back at the country club, Andre had an awkward run-in with Jacob. The tension was thick, almost violent. Jacob made it clear he thought Andre's marriage to me had something to do with Ashley. I don't know where he got that idea, but small towns have a way of breeding rumors like mold. And across town, Leslie, God bless her chaotic soul, was having her own meltdown. She'd confronted Tomas about being with her daughter, Kat. She accused him of choosing the safe option for his career. The man couldn't get a word in. Leslie's always been that kind of woman, fire first, apologize later. But that day, her rage felt like heartbreak disguised as pride. And then there was Eva, her daughter, trying to hold it all together. She begged Jan to help her mom, to get her to stop burning every bridge in her life. Jan, despite her own wounds, agreed. Because sometimes love doesn't mean forgiveness, it means trying one more time. Later that evening, Leslie met with Jan again. "I heard," she cried. Told her, "You have no idea how lonely I've been." And for a moment, all her bitterness melted into something human. But loneliness, that's the thread that ties all of us together, isn't it? Me, still haunted by a man I should have left behind. Bill, chasing a woman who stopped waiting for him to change. Andre, loving someone who's too afraid to love back. And everyone else in our messy, entangled lives, searching for connection, terrified of losing it once it's found. Part 3, The Offer. That night, after Andre fell asleep, I sat by the window, staring out into the quiet street below. My reflection looked back at me, tired, older than I remembered, and carrying too many secrets. I thought about Bill's face at the cafe, about the way his eyes lingered when he saw me with Andre, about how, even now, some part of me still wanted him to be the one who fought for me. But he never would. And Andre, sweet, patient, undeserving Andre, was asleep in the next room, dreaming of a woman who might never be whole. So when he woke up the next morning, I made him a shocking offer. I told him, "Andre, if you want kids, if that's something you need, I won't stand in your way. You can go. You can find someone who can give you that." He just stared at me, his eyes filled with something I couldn't name, hurt, confusion, maybe even pity. Then he whispered, I don't need kids, Dani. I need you. And in that moment, I realized maybe I'd been wrong all along. Maybe love wasn't about who deserved who. Maybe it was about who stayed.